It's less than 24 hours until WNBA teams need to finalize their rosters ahead of the 2025 season. So the Indiana Fever finally made their final cut. It looks like Lucy Olsen has made a WNBA roster, and the Golden State Valkyries are in hot water for cutting their fan favorite. You guys, there is so much to go over, so let's jump right in. What's up, you guys? I'm DeMita, and welcome to the Courtside Club. Tomorrow is the day where WNBA teams need to finalize their rosters ahead of the season. We have seen a lot of moving parts over the last few days, so I want to go over some of what is happening, some of these players that have been cut. Some surprised us, some we were expecting and we were wondering why it took them so long. So let's jump right in, and let's start with America's team, the Indiana Fever. So they made their final roster cut, and that was to guard Jaelyn Brown. So she has been waived by the Indiana Fever, and a lot of us were expecting that this would be the final player that they did waive. If you watch the preseason games, there were really a few players who were battling for that final spot. The Fever only has enough space to keep 11 players, and it seemed like Mykayla Timpson was running away with this. She performed really well. It seemed like she fit in really well in the Fever system, and it also seems like she might get some solid minutes as the season goes on. So a lot of us were expecting Jaelyn Brown to be cut. However, why it took the Indiana Fever this long, I'm still not sure. And I did have a theory in a previous video this week where I thought that they might have been looking at the field a little bit, seeing if any of these other teams were going to waive a player that might fit even better on the Indiana Fever's roster. And I also suspected that they might cut even one more player along with Jaelyn Brown in order to maybe get in a backup point guard, maybe just get in another talented player that they are familiar with that they thought could work for the Indiana Fever roster. But it seems like this was their final cut. It seems like the roster that they have now, how it stands, is how it's going to stay for this season. One thing I did want to point out though, because I thought it was so funny and I just love the internet, and the internet can be hilarious at times. Underdog WNBA tweeted out Jaelyn Brown has been waived by the Fever, and this tweet has over 2 million views, 26,000 likes. And this went out yesterday, and it was right before the Boston Knicks game, and obviously Jaelyn Brown, the man, plays for Boston. The replies to this tweet are so funny. There's like a Draymond Green gif here. Bronchitis said he played for the Fever too. Tatum's World said this is absolutely insane timing. There's someone else that said, and y'all think he's leading the Celtics back down 3-1. You just gotta laugh. I'm wishing Jaelyn Brown the best. Hopefully the girl Jaelyn Brown, does find a WNBA team. She gets on a roster, if not this season, then next. But I just wanted to share that with you guys because I thought it was freaking hilarious. Speaking of that final roster spot that was given to Mykayla Timpson, the Indiana Fever posted this on their Twitter page today. They said that Caitlin Clark to Mykayla Timpson connection. So it seems like they are excited about this rookie. I could actually see her eventually getting more playing time than Brianna Turner. Like I said, I think she's going to work her way onto the floor. She's going to get significant minutes, especially during the second half of the season. She's young, fresh legs. They're going to need somebody like that who can run the floor, play defense, catch those passes from Caitlin Clark. Really quick, this doesn't necessarily have to do with roster, but I did want to talk about Sophie Cunningham for a second because she has yet to practice with the team. However, today was the first day that she was on the court and she was getting up shots after practice. Chloe Peterson tweeted and she said Sophie Cunningham didn't participate in the open portion of practice today, but she's putting up shots post-practice. From this video, as you can see, she's not really going full speed. She's just kind of walking into her shot. It is still unclear if she will play in the Indiana Fever's season opener against the Chicago Sky. In the game that Sophie was injured, she actually started that game. She had worked her way into that starting role, and DeWanna Bonner came off the bench that game. It seems like those two, either Sophie is going to be the first sub for DeWanna Bonner or she will be starting, or vice versa. And she is such a key piece already to this team. So obviously we would love to see her back on the court for the season opener. However, I am not hell-bent on her playing in this game. Yes, it's a season opener. Yes, it's against the Chicago Sky. There's a lot of hype around it. They want to win their first game, but you have to think long-term. And if there's anything that could aggravate her ankle anymore by playing her in this game, in a game that is probably going to be very physical, I I honestly wouldn't mind if she sat out. I think the team can still win. I think that they can still figure it out. However, they need Sophie for the rest of the season. And I sound like a broken record at this point, but I want to talk about the backup point guard situation just one more time, because there's been a lot of speculation about Sydney Coulson playing the backup point guard for Caitlin Clark, how she looked in preseason. Is she a good enough backup point guard for this team? And I'm so not worried about it. Firstly, yes, Caitlin Clark played a ton of minutes last year. There were some games that she didn't even sit out at all. Do I think that she's going to do that this season, especially under Coach Stephanie White? No, I don't. But I do think she's going to play a significant amount of minutes, probably over 30 minutes a game at least, and she wants to do that. So when Caitlin Clark is not on the floor, I think the offense is just going to look a little bit different. We saw for the most part when Caitlin's not on the floor, Sophie seems to be that backup point guard, even though that's not her true position, but she did play backup point guard in college. And I think we'll see people like Sophie playing backup point. We'll see Sydney playing backup point. We'll see Kelsey running the one at times. I also saw DeWanna Bonner bringing the ball up the court during some of these preseason games. I'm not worried about it at all. I think the offense is just going to look a little bit different when Caitlin's not on the floor, but I don't expect her to be off the court for long unless obviously she's dealing with some sort of injury. Obviously, we do not hope for that, or she has to miss a game because of illness or whatever. Then there's something to be concerned about. But at this point in time, if Caitlin is healthy, if she is playing in every single game, they will be totally fine by running somebody else through the one. All of these women are totally capable at bringing the ball up the court, getting the offense going. Now let's move along and talk about another fan favorite. And I'm sure if you guys are fans of Caitlin Clark, then you are also fans of Lucy Olsen. It appears that Lucy Olsen has made the final roster for the Washington Mystics. And that was something a lot of people were worried about because she was battling it out for one of those final spots. She played well in her preseason games. I was there to watch her in person for that very first game, but she was drafted in the third round. And a lot of the times you're not even guaranteed to make roster if you are drafted in the first round of the WNBA draft. So she had to put in a lot of work. There's probably a lot of stuff that we didn't see that she was doing behind the scenes, how she was performing at practice. But I saw this article and it says Lucy Olsen makes Washington Mystics roster ahead of the 2025 WNBA season. Lucy Olsen has made the opening day roster for the WNBA's Washington Mystics, a source with direct knowledge of the situation told the Register. Now, the Washington Mystics have not yet announced their final roster. That's why this is still at this point speculation, but they have made 3 cuts, which gets their roster to 12 people. And so it seems like Lucy Olsen has made final roster, and I know so many people are going to be excited about that. Now, unfortunately, a fan favorite who was just announced that she was cut was Caitlyn Chen. Chen was the 30th overall pick in the 2025 WNBA draft. If you guys remember, we talked about it before. She was in attendance to support Paige Beckers at the WNBA draft, and she was drafted out of the crowd to the Golden State Valkyries. Now, during the Golden State Valkyries' first game against the Los Angeles Sparks, Caitlyn Chen was a fan favorite. When she scored, the house went down. She already had so many fans in the Bay Area, so a lot of WNBA fans are really upset about this. And Golden State Valkyrie fans are also really surprised that the Valkyries also waived Letitia Amiri. She scored 20 points in 19 minutes against the Sparks. She was the leading scorer that night. She truly went off. But this is a similar situation to Deja Kelly with the Aces. Deja Kelly had 14 points in 13 minutes. She is the one who won the game for the Aces in one of their preseason games. And this was a similar situation. She also was waived by the Aces. Letitia has now been waived from the Valkyries. But I think as fans, we need to take a step back because yes, we are seeing these players play in preseason games. Preseason games are so much different than regular season games. They are trying different lineups. These players who are on the chopping block are getting so much more minutes than they ever would during a WNBA game. And sometimes with players, it's not always about how many points you can score for a team. Some of these teams already have ball dominant players players who can put the ball in the basket, WNBA veterans. They don't necessarily need another rookie to come on the floor and score the basketball. A lot of times what they need rookies to do is come in and play the role that the team needs at the time, whether that's defense, whether that's bringing the ball up the court, whether that's being able to make entry passes and get the ball down into the post, whether it's just you coming in for a few minutes and giving one of your star players a breath. Scoring 20 points in a preseason game does not guarantee you a roster spot, especially if you are a young player. So while a lot of fans are like, wait, what's going on? These players did so well in preseason. We really truly don't know what that system needs, and especially a team like the Golden State Valkyries that is brand new, that is still finding their identity. We don't know what brand of basketball they are truly going to play until we get to see them play some regular season games. So with all these players who are getting cut, it is truly unfortunate, and it's so hard to make a WNBA roster with as many teams as they have, as many slots as they have on each team, and the amount of talent that is currently in women's basketball. But as the league continues to expand, there will be more chances for players like this, and I'm wishing all of them the best. And speaking of having limited roster spots, the Seattle Storm surprised everyone when they announced their final roster, and this roster is only 11 players deep, but only 10 active players because Katie Lou Samuelson recently tore her ACL. Now, one thing that I thought was interesting is what Skylar Diggins had to say about their new team. If you guys remember, Jewell Loyd left the Seattle Storm during free agency, and it didn't seem like a happy parting. There was some drama that was going on within the Seattle Storm organization, within the players and also the coaching staff. So Jewell Loyd left. She is now with the Las Vegas Aces, but this is what Skylar Diggins had to say about their roster now. She said, "Hell yeah, I feel confident. Did you see our roster? This is the most talented roster I've been a part of." So yes, Skylar is excited for this season, and it also felt like a little bit of a dig in that quote, like, this is the most talented roster I've been a part of. Before I let you guys go, I want to quickly go over the 2025 WNBA Power Rankings. So this is the tip-off week edition. This was posted by the WNBA. They have the New York Liberty at 1, which isn't surprising. Honestly, all of these power rankings that I'm seeing have the Liberty 1 and the Lynx 2, which is exactly the WNBA finals from last season. Like, can we have some creativity? Anyway, Liberty 1, Minnesota Lynx 2. They have the Las Vegas Aces 3, which I do not have them 3. I have them lower than that. They have the Seattle Storm 4, and they have the Indiana Fever 5. For my power rankings, I had the Indiana Fever 2, I had the Minnesota Lynx 1, and I had the New York Liberty 3. The New York Liberty played 2 really good preseason games and 1 horrible preseason game, so I don't know what to expect from them. So I have the Lynx 1, Indiana Fever 2, although the Lynx looked horrible in preseason. I don't know what they have going on, and then the coach calls them out. So do I have the Lynx 1 anymore? I'm not so sure, but I surely do not have the Indiana Fever at 5. I think they got so much better in the offseason. They should be much higher than that. Number 6, the Phoenix Mercury. I have the Mercury lower than that. I think that they are going to struggle, and it's going to take them some time to get their chemistry and really figure out this new roster situation that they have going on. The Atlanta Dream 7, I have the Atlanta Dream higher than that. I think they're going to do really well this season. I would probably have the Atlanta Dream around 5. I might even have them higher than the Aces. Is that crazy to say? That might be crazy to say, but I might have them higher than the Aces. The Chicago Sky at 8, that works for me. I can see them being a bubble playoff team. However, they did impress me a bit with their preseason play. The Dallas Wings at 9, I think they're going to be worse than 9. Unfortunately. Oh, it just looks rough over there in Dallas right now. The Los Angeles Sparks at 10, I have the Sparks making the playoffs. I think they're going to get it together. I think they're a scrappy team. They're going to be tough on defense. Cameron Brink is coming back. I think the Sparks are going to get it together. The Mystics at 11, I don't hate that. They're going to struggle. The Sun at 12, I don't hate that. They're going to struggle. The Valkyries at 13, I maybe wouldn't put them dead last, but they will also struggle this season. But they'll sell out arenas, so maybe there's a silver lining in everything. So of course, as I'm editing this video, I see the news that Grace Berger was waived by the Minnesota Lynx. So Grace Berger played for the Indiana Fever just last season, and a lot of fans really loved her. They wanted the Fever to keep her, but the Fever got rid of her. Minnesota picked her up, but she has now been waived by the Lynx. So we will just have to see where Grace Berger's WNBA future lies, but I just wanted to update you guys on that. But you guys let me know what you think about these final rosters. How do you feel about the Fever? How do you feel about the cuts the Valkyries made? Are any of these teams truly impressing you? Who do you have in your top 5 in your WNBA Power Rankings? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments below. Of course, thumbs up this video if you enjoyed it and click that little subscribe button because we upload new videos every single week. And with that, you guys, I'll see you next time. Ooh, yeah, nah.